Coming up on this edition of the Die Hard Den podcast, as always, we continue to tell you something good, positive news and notes from around the Lions organization. Then we go on the ball and defend the den as we look at the offensive and defensive performances versus the Texans in week 2 of the preseason. Then we have an outright profile on another Lions legend. And Now You Know is back, covering pass interference review. All this and more coming up on this edition of the Die Hard Den podcast. Here comes that roar. What up, dude? And welcome to the Die Hard Den podcast. This is Kurt Steele. And as always, I'm with my man, Seany J.
Hey, Curtis.
What's going on? It's going to be a busy show, my man. But as we always do at this time, it is time to tell me something good. So, my man, Seany J, tell me something good.
Well, Mr. Curtis, tell me something good. Two key defenders the Lions are really going to count on this year. Two big guys. Damian Snack Harrison was pulled off the NFI list today. And also Mike Daniels, who was brought over from Green Bay, free agent. He had his first practice with the Lions. Expect to see him maybe get a few snaps in there against the third preseason game against the Buffalo Bills on Thursday. That's the dress rehearsal. He'll probably won't play a lot, but get a few snaps or at least a quarter, I would say, because you're not going to play in the last game. I'd be very surprised to see any starter playing that last game. And I'm really counting on those two guys in the middle, stuff the middle. I mean, the Lions theoretically be very difficult to run against. I can't wait to see these two guys again. Plus, we got the Bama boys backing them up. And so the Lions defense on paper looks at least formidable. And I think they're going to be good. Just give them some time, let them gel, let them play together. So that's my tell me something good.
Okay. Fans, this week, I have a couple things real quick. Along with those other two individuals, free agent acquisition, Tommy Lee Lewis came off the PUP list, and he actually participated in the game with the Texans. Good thing for Tommy Lee Lewis. He's working his way back into the system and the offense and special teams, so good for him to be off the PUP list. Quandre Diggs hosted a community outreach event in his hometown of Anderson, Texas. It's right outside Houston. So he handed out backpacks and school supplies to the local kids in the area for the intermediate school age kids. So that's like middle school. It was a good showing that several of his teammates came out to the event, to include Matthew Stafford, Darius Slay, and a slew of other players, Kenny Galladay, Kerryon Johnson. These individuals came out, showed love for Quandre as he showed love to his community that he grew up in. His grandmother, his family was there, including his brand new daughter, Aria. Big shout out to Quandre Diggs doing big things in his hometown, Angelton, Texas, right before the game. Moving on, it is time to go on the ball. On the ball this week, offense versus the Texans. This is what I saw. And then after I get done, Seany J, you tell me what you saw. All right. Once again, Matthew Stafford sat, unlikely to play in the preseason at all. Did not play against the Texans. Josh Johnson started, and he looked like he just came into camp for 5 days. Josh Johnson looked like a guy who didn't really know the system that well. He didn't have any timing with the receivers, especially with the starters. He missed a lot of open throws, but as he played on in the game, he did find his rhythm close to the halftime. You had 3 running backs that averaged over 5 yards per carry. Thompson, Zach Benner, and Kerryon Johnson. That's a big thing. With the Lions actually ranked 6th in the preseason in rushing. TJ Hockenson, that guy, TJ Hockenson really impressed me. He can block. You know, he had that one penalty for the crackback block.
You know what? I'm sorry, interrupt, but I was right on the way home. I heard on the radio. Was it really a crack block? Was he really guilty of that?
He missed. He whipped. He whipped on the block. However, the way that they're enforcing the rule this season, it was considered a crackback because if the new rule states the player cannot tilt and turn back into the field of play, like toward the line of scrimmage and throw a block.
I think that's the rule.
So basically the rules are different. The rules for crackback are different this year. and they're really emphasizing that rule in preseason. We'll see how it goes. Changing that rule or really enforcing it is going to make a difference during the game. The Adebushe block, I didn't hear you at all. Go ahead. We see that
I'm
again.
sorry, that was a legal block. He was protecting his quarterback. They were behind the quarterback, but he hit the defender coming straight on, and it was a good, strong block. It wasn't low. It wasn't at his knees or anything. It wasn't dirty. But they called a penalty on that. Even Chris Spillman was going off on that play.
Yeah, I follow TJ Lang on social media. Looking at his Twitter page, he said the same thing. He said that call was absolute garbage. Every couple of years, you get this thing from the NFL where they want to try to enforce a rule differently. We'll see how it transcribes to the regular season, if they're going to keep calling it that way or they're going to just kind of let it ride out. Another thing, David Fales. David Fales showed up. Guy had a better showing. 12 of 19, 226 yards, and a touchdown. He had a really good game. The offensive line, I don't know about your boy Bo, but however, the offensive line gave up 2 sacks for the game. And one of them was actually Johnson's fault. It was a quick throw play. It was supposed to be a 3-step drop, and he held the ball. I would say the offensive line gave up 1 sack. They turned the ball over twice by Josh Johnson. He had a fumble and an interception. I'm not really harping on his performance. The guy had only been in training camp for like 5 days and was the starter. That's pretty hard for someone to do, to come off the street really, or, come off from another team and start a game in the NFL without really knowing the system. Overall, I was really impressed with the performance as far as the way they came together. I think the offense will definitely look better with Matthew Stafford in it, but we'll get to that later on down the line. But I like the fight they had as far as on both sides of the ball, but particularly the offense. They just played a better game. They just seemed to be in a better rhythm, especially when Fales got on the field. He seemed to move the ball up and down the field. One other negative, really, they had 18 first downs, which was good. 10 more in the last game because they only had 8 in the game against the Patriots. However, the team only went 1 and 11 on third down. So out of 12, made 1 third down conversion. That's not good at all. We got to improve on that for third down situational football. However, I thought it was a good overall performance. What did you see, Sean?
Yeah, it was definitely, better than last week against New England. That's for sure. They couldn't do nothing against New England. They were crisp for a little bit. Like I said, Josh Johnson came in, 5 days notice and was starting the game. He looked ragged, he looked rusty, but he, like I said, he fell down. He made a few completions. He needs more time. I think he'd be a good quarterback, a backup for us if Tom Savage is unavailable this season, because concussion issues, like this is the 4th concussion that Savage suffered in the last 2 years. So I'm surprised he's still playing. And David Fales was, he showed something. He played much better this week than he did against New England. He had more time. And they had against the Patriots. The 2 sacks, both were on Johnson. So Fales wasn't even touched this week or legally officially sacked. I thought he was going to pull it out for us, but he made some good throws in the end, but his tight ends dropped the ball. He made some good passes on him. And in that last attempt to Hail Mary, it looked good. Like it was going to be a Lions touchdown for a minute. The Texans, however, was able to knock it away. But I think Fales showed me something. Is it enough? Starting backup job behind Matthew Stafford? Well, that would be determined in the final 2 preseason games. And I did see my boy Bo out there. I didn't see him in Big 63. I was watching him closely. He made some good blocks. He was out there for real.
Bo was out there?
Yes,
I didn't even pay attention, man.
He was out there, number 63. I was watching him. And he made some blocks. He kept the pressure off the quarterback. He opened some running lanes for the running back. You said all 3 running backs average 5 yards of carry. That's because Big Bo was out there. I'm telling you, he should be the starter. And these are the things I look for in preseason games. Not necessarily winning. Yeah, you still like to win, but the guys, do they perform when they're out there? And like I mentioned, do we really need another receiver out there? Because Travis Fulgham, is that right? The 6th-round pick out of OD?
Yes, that is him. Yes.
And his teammate is there, Jonathan Duhart. Well, Fulgham made some nice catches. He made a nice Calvin Johnson, Herman Moore type catch on the sideline there. Do you see that? You know what I'm talking about?
It looked like Kenny Golladay to me.
Yes, or at least Herman Moore. Calvin, he wouldn't Herman's number. I said, did Herman come back out of retirement? And do we need, I understand Dontrell Inman, like you said, re-sign with the Chargers, but I think we should go with the young guys. I think we've got some promising young guys in and Fulham, and I still like Powell. I think those guys will get a shot, instead of trying to go out and sign a veteran wide receiver. Those young guys, even Tom Kennedy looked good for a minute. Even though he fumbled a punt, but he covered it. So,
I will say
Lewis.
this.
So I think we should give the young guys a shot.
I like Kennedy. He kind of reminds me of that prototype Patriot type receiver. He is going to get open. He knows how to break off his routes and get to an open spot, which is rare because the guy is a lacrosse player. You wouldn't think he will transform into football so quickly, but I like the way that he can get open on routes, and he finds the open area and kind of sits down in it. He knows how to get open. It's going to be a tough call for when you have to make this cut down to 53 and who's going to be on the team and who's not. So, I mean, he may be on the practice squad. You never know.
You know who I really liked, who's a very good, typical Patriots player. He's with the Lions the last few years in preseason, but never made the team. Number 16, that little receiver. You know what I'm talking about. 16.
Jace Billingsley.
Who?
Billingsley.
Yeah, Jace. Billingsley. I really liked him. He's a Patriot player. He was good. He made some plays. I don't know why they don't keep him around.
Yeah, he spent his couple of years on the practice squad. I think his time limit for practice squad is up. I think he spent a lot of time on the practice squad, so he's not allowed to be on him. Yeah, his time has elapsed for eligibility for the practice squad player.
He's a Patriot.
Good show by the offense.
Yeah. He's definitely a Patriot type player.
He is a prototype Patriots type receiver. Good job of the offense this week overall. We didn't win the game, but they had a better showing than they did with the Patriots. Let's move on to the defense. Now it's time to defend the den. Shawnee J, on the defense, tell me what you saw.
I saw an improved effort, too, on defense. I think they got the first sack. My man Okwara got it. Put some pressure. He got, and I like it. He's one of my favorite players. He's starting defensive end. He's one to start, along with Trey Flowers, who hasn't played yet either. But look for him to play a few snaps Thursday's game, the third preseason game against the Bills. We got an interception. Andrew Adams, a rookie, not a rookie, but a free agent acquisition. He made a nice pick. That was good. I like seeing
that. Was nice. And
also the third round pick, the guy we had to trade Golden Tate away for last year, the third round pick, the rookie out of Boston College. Yeah, Will Harris.
The third round pick.
Yeah, third round pick, Will Harris. He returned a fumble for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. That was real good. I was glad to see that. Why the Lions draft him where they draft them.
Amani or Rory is the one who caused the fumble.
Yeah, so those are two players that, Lions are high on, the fans are excited to see. I'm glad to see him making plays. Mm-hmm. And let's not forget about Jelani Tave. He had a good game when he was in the group.
Yes, he did.
The fans our group, our Lions group on Facebook, about how well he played. Even Spillman and his broadcast partner were raving about him too. He's a big guy. He fought off blocks better. He got off blocks better. He played the run. He ran guys down. Like I said, he's not in the WAC conference anymore. He's not playing the Wyomings and San Jose States and those other schools anymore. No disrespect to him, but he's not in the big leagues, NFL, and he has this size. He has huge size and strength and quickness to disengage from blocks. He can't take on 350-pound linemen too many times. You got to learn how to avoid them or get around them. Like in college, maybe get away with that because they're not as big out there in the WAC conference in college. But he showed why the Lions took him at number 2, the number 2 draft pick. He showed some promise. I think he's going to eventually be a starter. If not this year, maybe late this season, definitely by next season, 2020. So I saw some good things, especially out of our rookies on defense. And don't forget, we're not playing for full deck yet. Like several of our starters, like the Trey Flowers hasn't played it down yet, and we haven't seen the whole game from Darius Slay and others. Because that's the thing about preseason. You really can't get a good judgment because so many guys are being shuffled in and out, not able to get in the flow of the game. So that's why I'm not panicking. That's why I don't mind Matthew Stafford sitting out. Save him. You got to save the franchise. You don't get him hurt or anybody hurt in a meaningless preseason game. See, we already lost Jermaine Kearse in the first series of the first preseason game last week. So preseason is a tricky thing. And I don't mind Patricia resting the starters as long as he keeps them sharp in practice and work them out.
Yeah, we'll get to that on our next segment. What I saw from the defense, myself, big play from Darius Big Play Slay down on that goal line with the pass breakup against Hopkins, the play with the touchdown against Rashawn Melvin. Actually, he played decent defense. Could they have called offensive pass interference? I really don't think so because of the hand fighting. Hopkins is a beast. So, sometimes you win some, you lose some on that one. I'll chalk that up to the game. But actually, Rashawn Melvin had a pretty good, decent game. Tave, like you said, he had a better game. Your boy is on the bubble. And he's continuing to struggle in coverage. Agnew. I think it's a hype thing.
Yeah, Javon.
Agnew is continuing to struggle, my man. You know who impressed me again this week? And someone else who impressed me this week that didn't play last week? Killebrew.
Oh, yeah.
Solid performance from his linebacker position. Some good, solid tackles. He played very well. And Reese Maben has been a beast. That guy was all over the field on against the Texans. Good tackling performance. Overall, good play from the defense. The fundamentals returned. They tackled better against the Texans than they did against the Patriots. So that's what I really saw with those guys. They got the first sack of the preseason with Aquara.
Yes.
He got the first sack. So they had a very good showing out there in Houston. Big ups to to Matt Patricia getting those guys in a better position to have a better game. Definitely.
Let me say real quick: if Agnew is cut, believe me, he won't be on the waiver wire very long. Believe me, he's going to be picked up right away by somebody.
The thing that may save him is his return ability.
Yes.
So we'll see. But as far as right now, I think that dude's on the bubble. He's so short. I mean, he's like, what, 5'8"?
5'9".
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I know people say, well, Quandre really moved to safety. I think that was the best for him. The thing was to move Quandre to safety because of his height issues as well. Now he can play in the box. His tackling ability and his all-around play helps him on the defense better than it does for Agnew.
And Agnew reminds me a lot of that. Remember that all-pro partner kick returner for the Bears? What was his name? Devin.
Oh, Devin Hester?
Yes, exactly. Hester really never played position either. He was strictly return man. So Jamal Agnew is a lot like Hester, yeah.
Right. I get what you're saying. Now we got that out the way. Now it is time for 2 Points Conversing. This week, 2 Points Conversing. You brought it up in the last segment. We're going to bring it up right now. Matt Patricia is doing a good job, to me, reserving the veterans and most of the starters. Matt Stafford has not played it down in the preseason. Another person who hasn't played it down that's not on any type of injury list, and people kind of really haven't paid attention to it, Jared Davis has not played it down in the preseason at all. Jared Davis has not been on the field. He's saving him as well. He had a little injury coming off the end of the season. If you look at Marvin Jones, didn't make the trip to Houston, stayed at home. Amendola did not play in the game. He hasn't played it down in the preseason yet. He is keeping these guys healthy for the season. Snacks Harrison came off the NFI, didn't play the game. Mike Daniels, like you said earlier in the Tell Me Something Good, just had his first practice today. He's been in camp for this is his third week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's keeping these guys fresh, especially the older guys. He wants to make sure that he keeps them ready for the regular season opener. If you look at last offseason, I will say this about Matt Patricia. Sometimes it takes a year to get it right. Last season, he came into training camp with the iron fist. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Glover Quinn said trade me. He didn't like it at all. Veterans were complaining. This season has shown the growth of a coach for Matt Patricia. He's listening to his veterans. The camps are running smoother. Their practices are running smoother. People know what to expect. So the leaders are leading on the team, and he's listening to the leaders on the team. He's saving those guys. He doesn't want to overwork them in the preseason, overwork them. Actually, training camp is not officially over with the second preseason game. He didn't want to overwork them at camp. He doesn't want to overwork them in practice right now. He wants to get them ready for the opening game in Arizona, and that's in 19 days. What do you think about that, my man?
I think it's very smart. Like I said, preseason is a very tricky thing. You want to get the guys sharp. They got to get some reps in, but you don't want to get your key players, your starters, or your stars hurt in a meaningless preseason game because you can ruin your season before it even starts. And plus, the fans and media will the lynch mob will be outside your office with the pitchforks and the torches. They really come get you. I mean, you got this guy hurt in a meaningless preseason game just like years ago when Steve Mariucci played. Remember, he played the former running back James Stewart in the final preseason game, ran 7 straight times, and he injured his shoulder on a hit by Coy Wire, and he never played again. That ended his career. Because he was an older running back as it was, but they were kind on him, and he was also in the season. Mariucci took a lot of heat for that. That it's very smart. I agree with. I also remember going way back in the 1979 season. I was a kid, of course. I'm not that old. Anyway, 40 years. Anyway. Remember Gary Danielson, the former quarterback?
Yes, I remember Gary Danielson.
High on him to be their starter that year. He got injured his knee in the 4th preseason game against the Colts in Baltimore. Missed the season. The Lions went 2-14. So, and you remember Wayne Fontes was smart. He never played Barry Sanders in that last preseason game. He said, Barry had the flu, or Barry, I gave him the day off, or any old excuse. And Wayne Fontes was smart. He protected his key players, especially Barry Sanders. He never played Barry in that last preseason game because he wanted to risk get him hurt, and ruin the season. So I think Patricia learned that. That's why he's keeping Stafford out and other key guys out. He's keeping them sharp. I'm sure he's working them out in practice and make sure they hit the weights and do some running in practice so they stay fresh. So like I said, I want them to come out running opening day in Arizona, September 8th.
What else do you got here for 2 Points Conversing?
I want to talk, go off the Lions for a minute, but still football related. If you recall earlier this year in the offseason, back in February, March, I posted in a group a couple of times suggesting should the Lions go after 2 offensive weapons from Pittsburgh, 1 or 2 or both of them. That was Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. I remember the group was about split 50-50. Some guys said, yeah, let's go after both of them. We got the money. And other guys said, hell no. I mean, those guys are headaches. Well, Brown went to Oakland and Bell went to the New York Jets. And they both are, proven to be prima donnas. I don't see how the Pittsburgh locker room held those 2 big egos intact, when they're on the same team. But they, Brown with a helmet issue in Oakland, he's missing games, missing practice because he wants a certain helmet. And Le'Veon Bell, they got him in New York. He sat out last year. He took a risk. He sat out his last year in Pittsburgh. He sacrificed $15 million, causing some drama, with his girlfriend stealing his money and his jewelry out of his home. I wasn't there. 2 girlfriends, just gonna have 2 women in your house while you at work. I mean, he's lucky they even called a U-Haul and take everything he had. So he's causing some unnecessary drama in New York and distractions. Well, New York's a big circus anyway. Because remember a couple of years ago when their former starting quarterback was got punched in the jaw and by a teammate. Who was that?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Who was that guy? The quarterback in West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Geno
I can't remember his name right now. Geno Atkins. And I remember the Lions, when they played the Lions in the preseason, the Lions played I Can't Feel My Face When I'm With You during the pregame warm-up.
That was terrible.
Because he was there with a broken jaw.
He got hit by a teammate who he owed the teammate.
Yeah, the linebacker.
Yeah, he owed some money. And he got kind of smugged and he got cold cocked in a broken jaw. I mean, New York is known for being a media circus anyway. The Giants and the New York Yankees and the Knicks and all those New York teams. It's a big circus, and I agree. We don't need that kind of drama here. Even though I would love having either Brown or Bell, possibly both. I'm glad they can't bring their baggage with them. So that's what I got. Right. What about you?
The stuff with Le'Veon Bell, the personal issues, I mean, you have to be a better judge of character, especially when it comes to women. However, the heart sometimes or your loins doesn't do the smart thing. I can't judge a man on his pick for a woman. Everybody's had, bad dealings with the opposite sex or the individual that they deal with in their love life. So that's his personal life. I think long as he does what he needs to do on the field, I'm fine with Le'Veon Bell. The Antonio Brown thing with the helmet. Here's what I think about the Antonio Brown thing. I think that the Antonio Brown thing is a circus for Hard Knocks. I think that they needed to have a better story for Hard Knocks right now, because you look at that team and the way it's constructed, there wasn't going to be a lot of drama in the Raiders camp besides the coach, John Gruden. There wasn't going to be a lot of turmoil there because, when Antonio Brown got there, I'm happy to be here. This, it's just the love story. And then all of a sudden, here you go. You got the frostbite. And if you don't have the proper, they tell you when those crowd chambers, you have to have the proper footwear, handwear to go on those chambers, because it is a danger for frostbite because it's so cold. I don't know. He said he wore the proper footwear and the injury happened with the frostbite. The thing with the helmet, to me, I think is totally staged. I think he just wants to make a little ruckus so they can get some better rating on Hard Knocks. I don't think that the people are watching it just because it's the Raiders anymore, because that's not the same Raiders from back in the day. They're not but it's not the same league where the Raiders could be the Raiders like they were back in the day.
The 1970s Raiders with John Madden and Kenny Stabler.
Yeah.
Those guys.
It's not the same. The league rules are different. They can't be the same Raiders as they were back then, as my man Boomer from ESPN used to say. I think it's a media circus thing to make sure they get better ratings on Hard Knocks, because I bet you people are going to tune in just because of the fact that with the helmet gate, Antonio Brown saying he doesn't want to play because of the helmet. However, he was in practice today. The helmet that he likes is the shut helmet. Said it's a vision thing. I can't see with it on. He was in practice today with the newer version of the helmet that he likes. I think it's all going to go away with all these grievances with the league, and it just makes for good TV. That's just my opinion.
So,
okay,
one of those lines real quick. You agree with both Patricia and Bob Quinn's, why they don't want Hard Knocks, the lines on Hard Knocks? You agree with them?
When we talked about this before, I understand. They're a pretty tight-lipped and close to the vest organization as it is. I mean, they've learned that from the previous place that they were. Bill Belichick's a real tight-lipped, close to the vest type of guy when it comes to outside of their building. And I understand that. Us as fans, we want to see more of our team. Would I like to see the Lions on Hard Knocks? I don't have a problem with that. I live in North Carolina. I don't get a lot of the preseason stuff or the workouts. I follow it on Twitter. I watch the press conferences daily with Matt Patricia while they're in camp. Actually, I watch them when he meets the media during the season as well. But I don't get enough Lions coverage here in North Carolina, except for during the season when I see them on the NFL Sunday Ticket. So that's the only time I really catch a lot of the Lions stuff. So I don't have a problem with them being on Hard Knocks because I get more Lions. I don't live in Michigan. I don't live in Ohio, so I don't get a lot of the Lions coverage. But I understand why they do what they do. If the Lions can turn it around and win, I could care less if they are anything else, but the games are winning on Sunday.
Exactly.
One thing I want to close the 2 Point Conversing out with is Mr. Eric Reed and his comments about Jay-Z and his social justice initiative partnership with the NFL. Mr. Reed called Jay-Z a sellout because of the deal. My opinion, is it because that Colin Kaepernick's not in the league? Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick signed settlement agreements with the NFL. They said that they were kneeling for social justice issues. Jay-Z comes in and signs a deal for social justice issues. He put their issues, or the issues that they're bringing up, at the forefront of the NFL. He has a place at the table to fix the issues, or at least address the issues, right? So why is he a sellout for getting a place at the table in the league to help with the causes that you kneeled for? It doesn't make any sense to me. Are you protesting that Colin Kaepernick's not in the league? Colin Kaepernick took the settlement, the payout in the collusion case. Is it, and individuals are saying that Jay-Z could not have signed the deal, should not have signed the deal because Kaepernick's not in the league, or made it a stipulation that a team hire Kaepernick before he signed the deal. People, business does not work in that manner. I cannot go into someone's office, like it or not, and tell someone to hire someone. The NFL is a league, but each team is a private business and has a private owner. The commissioner works for the owner. The commissioner cannot go into, and they have not been able to do this, It is an antitrust issue. The league cannot tell each team who to pick, who to have on their team, who to sign. That's why there's a draft. There's no more assigning players to a team. The players drafted to a team or signed in free agency. So the league cannot tell an individual team who they can sign or who they should sign. So the whole thing with the Jay-Z making a stipulation that Colin Kaepernick has to be on the team is utterly ridiculous. Life doesn't work like that. And especially business doesn't work like that.
Well, it does.
I cannot walk into someone's office and tell someone to hire someone if I have no affiliation with the company at all. Or if I'm a vendor and say, hey, you have to hire this person for me to carry your products in my store. It doesn't make any sense. Business doesn't work that way. The world doesn't work that way. I think he's a viable quarterback. I think that if he can make an NFL roster and take a tryout, that's fine. One thing that, now I don't know if this is a narrative or not, but there's a narrative that he wants to be a starter. Dude, you've been out of the league for 3 years. Take a tryout. You know what I'm saying? Here's my thing. You wait on teams to call you. Why aren't you calling teams? You have an agent. Why aren't you reaching out to teams? Because here's the thing. You can't control the narrative if you're saying, I'm out here, I'm ready, give me a call. Well, you can also control the narrative by saying, hey, these are the teams I contacted. I'm not getting anything back. Because there are plenty of teams where he can fit in their system. People are complaining that you have all these quarterbacks in the league that are less talented than Colin Kaepernick. Sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time. And you have to be able to reach out to people. Networking goes both ways, my man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that this is the narrative. I'm not saying this is what's going on at all. But I'm just saying, you have to put yourself in a position. Sometimes you have to humble yourself and reach out. Just because of the fact that you were a Super Bowl quarterback a decade ago doesn't make you a Super Bowl quarterback now. And you've been out of the league for 3 years.
Yes.
So people aren't going to be knocking down the door of a player who's been out of the league for 3 years. You know, get your agent on the horn, schedule some workouts. You know, to me, you took the settlement offer. Is Eric Reid? This is my thing. Eric Reid, you're protesting for social justice issues. Now, are you protesting Colin Kaepernick not being in the league? Or are you still protesting the social justice issues? Because the NFL is trying to address those social justice issues with the initiatives they built last year. Each individual team now partnership with Jay-Z and Rock Nation. So you brought those issues to the forefront, and now they're taking action. What else do you want now? It could be just a good, what do you call that? It could be the league saving face. I don't question Jay-Z's motives. The motives of the league can be questioned because of the fact that how many years did this thing go on and they not addressed it? You know what I'm saying? It took them that many years to address it. So I can question the motives of the league. I don't question Jay-Z's motives because he's always been out front of who he is and what he stands for. So, I mean, he's a capitalist. I mean, he's always rapped about getting money and making money. And now he's rapping about getting the money the legal way. And if you look at his last few projects, he's talking about building generational wealth for his family and how you can build generational wealth for your family, investing in your credit. You know, what did he have? He had a line in one of his songs said, what's better than spending money in the strip clubs? Credit.
Yeah,
that's
OJ's song.
The story of OJ. Yeah, and he talks about having generational wealth. He may be that one guy that can break that ownership barrier in the NFL. I'm not saying that he's in line to buy a team, but he could be the one individual that can break that barrier and get into the league as an owner. Or a partial owner. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Boyce Watkins, the financial guru?
Yes, I am.
He brought some up, good point. Remember when Jay-Z was a part owner with the New Jersey Nets. He had a 5% stake in the Nets. I think he's kind of suspicious of this because the Nets basically used Jay-Z's name and face to buy land in Brooklyn to build that nice arena, $1 billion arena. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of suspicious of the NFL's motives. Are they using Jay-Z again to kind of quiet the color players and the fans, some of the black fans. You see, is Jay-Z another being used as a pawn or a tool again? So that's an interesting conspiracy theory.
It took money to get Jay-Z into that partnership in the NBA, and it took a lot of more money to get him out of that partnership than it did to keep him in that partnership. You understand what I'm saying? Because they had to buy him out. But the issue with him in the NBA, and with the reason why he had to leave the ownership for the NBA, is the NBA rules state that you cannot be a owner and an agent.
Right.
He had a sports agency, and they were like, well, you can't have a sports agency and be a owner in this league.
Right.
Which is understandable. It's like in the NFL, you can't own a team and be a coach. And that's for, I know one owner in particular out in Texas that doesn't like that rule, because if that was the case, he'd be on the sideline coaching the team every Sunday out there in Dallas.
Jerry Jones. He has every other title: owner, general manager, president, Lord and King.
Yeah. So,
and don't forget, George Halas was an owner and coach of the Bears, and Curly Lambeau in the Packers back in the day.
Yeah, but they changed the antitrust rules came into effect, and they banned coaches from being owners. The same with Paul Brown. He owned the Browns and the Bengals.
Yeah, Paul Brown, right.
So, but that rule was put into place because they wanted the separation of those duties, because they didn't want it to be a tyranny on a team where the owner controlled too much of the team at one time. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So those rules were put in place to protect the organizations and the players. So that was 2 Points Conversing. Good topics this week. When we get back, we're going to have an Our Pride profile on a Lions legend from my man, Seany J. So we'll be back after the break. All right, we're back. Seany J, who you got for this week's Our Pride profile?
This week, I like to profile the Lions' legendary quarterback from the 1950s. Before there was Matthew Stafford, before there was even Joey Harrington or Scott Mitchell, the best quarterback in Lions history was one Mr. Bobby Lane. Bobby Lane was born in Texas in 1926. He was actually the Chicago Bears' #1 draft pick in the 1948 draft. He didn't really work out for the Bears, and he was traded to the Lions in 1950, where he quickly became the Lions' starting quarterback. And Lane, in his 9 seasons with the Lions, held almost every passing record, all the passing records, from completions to attempts to yardage to touchdowns, and even interceptions. He was a fan favorite, definitely fan favorite. He led the Lions to 2 NFL championships in 1952 and 53. He was part of the 57 championship team, the last title in Lions history. However, he suffered a broken leg late in the season. And actually, Tobin Rote was the guy who guided the Lions to the last championship. But Lions still got a trophy, or a ring, if you will. At the beginning of the 1958 season, after 2 games and a terrible performance, and including because he also handled the place-kicking duties for the Lions. He missed a couple of field goals. The Lions traded him unexpectedly to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he finished out his career in 1962. And Bobby Lane was very upset, and his legend would have it. Last thing he told the Lions was, on the way out the door, "You won't win another thing in 50 years," which became known as the curse of Bobby Lane. Ever since Lane lost, they only won 1 playoff game, and the year that the curse supposedly ended was 2008, and we know how 2008 went. So,
yes,
and we want to forget that. Hopefully, the curse is supposed to end 11 years ago. Stafford has drawn a lot of comparisons to Bobby Lane, As he, born in the same city, went to the same high school, even was living on the same block that Lane lived in growing up. So we championships that Lane won as a starting quarterback. He already broke all of his records. Now let's break his championship record. He officially won 3 rings. Let's get 4, Matthew. Can Matthew Stafford be in the second half of his career? Can be our Tom Brady and play 20 seasons? Let's hopefully, Matthew already broke all of Bobby's passing records. Now let's let him break the 3 titles that Lane won with 4 championships of his own. And can he play at least another 6 seasons or so and be our version of Tom Brady? Will he be our Tom Brady and play 20 seasons but still be an effective quarterback? So anyway, that's my profile on Bobby Lane.
Thank you for your profile. Another excellent edition of the Our Pride profile. Next, we have Now You Know.
What up, though? This is Kurt Steele, and welcome to this week's edition of Now You Know. This week, we're going to cover the instant replay. We're going to look at the coaches' challenges, how the replay official comes into play. We're going to look at the new pass interference rule. And finally, we're going to look at what plays are reviewable under the replay system. We're going to read the rule, break it down for you so you can understand a little bit better. So let's hop to it. Rule 15, instant replay. Article 1, coaches' challenges. Each team is permitted 2 challenges that will initiate instant replay reviews. 1, the head coach can initiate a challenge by throwing a red challenge flag onto the field before the next legal snap or kick. 2, a team that commits a foul that delays the next snap can no longer challenge the previous play. The non-fouling team can still challenge the previous play, and both teams can benefit from the review. 3, the head coach may challenge on-field rulings listed in Section 3, except for those plays that only the replay official can challenge in Article 2, which we'll read shortly. 4, each challenge requires an available team timeout. A team that is out of timeouts or has used all its available challenges may not attempt to initiate a challenge. A team that initiates a challenge when the team is not permitted to challenge will be charged a team timeout. The penalty for initiating a challenge when a team has exhausted all of its timeouts is a loss of 15 yards enforced as a foul between down. 1, if a challenge is unsuccessful, the team will be charged a timeout. 2, a team will be permitted a third challenge if it is successful on both of its previous challenges. However, a fourth challenge will not be permitted. So let's break it down. Plain and simple. The coach throws the challenge flag onto the field to challenge a play. They must have a timeout to challenge a play or call on the field that is reviewable. The coach can challenge twice per game. If they win both of those challenges, a third is given as long as they have a timeout to challenge. If a coach wins a challenge, they keep their timeout. If they lose the challenge, the timeout is charged to the team. After the 2-minute warning of each half, a coach can no longer challenge. If a coach tries to challenge a play without having a timeout, a 15-yard penalty is given to that coach. Now let's get to the players. If a player commits a foul that stops the game clock, his coach cannot challenge the play, with the exception of pass interference. But the opposing coach can challenge the next play before the next snap of the ball. So there you have it, your coach's challenges. Now, let's get into the replay officials. Article 2, replay official request for review. Only the replay official or the senior vice president of officiating or his or her designee may initiate a review of a play. 1, that begins after the 2-minute warning of each half. 2, throughout any overtime period. 3, when points are scored by either team. 4, that is a try or attempt, successful or non-successful. And 5, when on-field officials rule. 1, an interception by an opponent. 2, a fumble or backward pass recovered by an opponent or that goes out of bounds through the opponent's end zone. 3, a scrimmage kick touched by the receiving team a recovery by the kicking team, or a disqualification of a player. Plays may be reviewed regardless of whether a foul is committed on that play. If accepted, it will negate the on-field ruling. The replay official may only challenge a play until the next legal snap or kick. The replay official may consult with a designated member of the officiating department at the league office regarding whether to challenge a play. So let's break this down. Plain and simple, after the 2-minute warning of each half is when the reviews are always started by the replay official. All scoring and plays that result in a turnover by the offense are automatically reviewed to include point after attempts and 2-point conversion tries. If a player is thrown out of a game, a review is done to make sure that they deserve to be kicked out of the contest. If a punt or kickoff is touched by the receiving team and recovered by the opposing team, the play is reviewed as well. Let's get into pass interference. Article 10, pass interference. Whether an act constitutes pass interference by the offensive player or defensive player. This article applies regardless of the foul where pass interference was called or not by the on-field officials. Let's get into it. It doesn't matter if pass interference was called or not called during a play. A coach can challenge to review to see if the foul even happened at all, or it was called by mistake or the wrong player. For example, offensive pass interference was called, but it was actually defensive pass interference. And the play can be challenged for review as long as the coach goes by the guidelines of his coach's challenges, which is 2 per game, and they cannot challenge after the 2-minute warning. And they have to have a timeout to challenge the play on the field. So let's look at section 3, reviewable rulings for the replay system. Your play situations that are reviewable, the replay system will cover the following plays and situations for review. 1, plays involving possession. For example, was it a completed pass? 2, plays involving touching either the ball or ground. For example, down by contact. Plays governed by the goal lines. For example, touchdowns and safeties. 4, plays governed by the boundary lines. Was a player out of bounds? 5, plays governed by the line of scrimmage. Were the players lined up correctly before the snap? 6, plays governed by the line of game. Were they trying to get a first down? 7, number of players on the field before the snap, i.e. 12 players on the field. 8, game administration to include penalty enforcement, proper down distance, spot of the foul, and status of the game clock. 9, pass interference, or 10, which is disqualification of a player. There you have it, your replay system, which is a brief overview. Maybe you understand it a little bit better when you're watching the game. So like my man Biggie Small said, for instant replay, if you don't know, now you know, baby. And now let's get back to the Die Hard Den podcast.
We're back from Now You Know. It is time for us to get on out of here. Seany J, tell the people how they can find you on social media.
Just go to Facebook, look up Sean Jennings. You'll find me real easy. Also, you can send me requests if you want to join Detroit Lions Truest Fan Group. I'm the admin there. I do a lot of posting. I keep everybody updated. People who like Curtis live out of town, not to worry, because I keep them up on their Lions news better than their own website does.
Yes, he does. Keep me up to date in the Truest Fan Group. I am at Curtis Steele, CurtisSteele 14 on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me in the Detroit Lions Diehards page and also the Truest Fan page and a slew of other pages on Facebook, the One Pride page, and also the Matthew Stafford Fanatics page. Thank you for listening. As always, next week, we're going to be looking at the dress rehearsal, the third preseason game against the Buffalo Bills. It'll be nationally televised. So get on there, TV, check it out. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And as always, this is Kurt Steele for my man, Seany J, and we are out.